It's still happy hour with John Gaskins, so go ahead, have another.
All right, so you mentioned, the Jackrabbit women, because we're kind of bouncing back and forth here. You were on SDPB for a couple of state basketball tournaments, and you've mentioned Steve Emming, longtime voice, Jackrabbit men's basketball and football.
Yep.
Steps down. Tyler Merriam, who had already developed a pretty good name for himself as the women's guy, and of course he got the call already. A bunch of great, illustrious women's seasons with Aaron Johnston, and so he gets elevated to Steve's job.
Yep.
And so you get the women's job, and I'm sure that was a coveted job.
Yep.
So talk about grabbing that, what you were feeling at the time, and walking into that.
Well, so I got to be totally
2011,
honest.
by the way.
2011. When SDSU first reached out to me, it was Tyler who reached out. I'll be honest, I didn't know who he was at the time. I'm getting a message on Facebook Messenger saying, hey, can you call me? And I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. I know he works at SDSU.
Okay.
I almost just blew it off. I was almost like, I'm not going to do this. I'm on a bus with the Moondogs. We're on our way to Thunder Bay. We were going up to Canada. And so I was like, I'll wait till I get back. Figured we got it to a bus stop and the guys got out. And I was like, I'll give him a call. Next thing you know, he's like, hey, this is kind of moving fast. Mike Hendrickson gave me your number. We would like for this to be a thing. Do you want to do it? And I said, yeah, let's do it. So I jumped on it right away. And as soon as the Moondogs season was done, moved back to South Dakota and started getting ready for the Jacks. And my first game on the air was with Tyler, I think Scotty Quaz was there too, but we were at Illinois playing the Fighting Illini football game. They had me do sideline reporting for that game. And I think it was on 9/11, so it was like a big Memorial Day. They had all this stuff going on.
10-year anniversary.
Yeah, it was the 10-year anniversary, and so it was a pretty special day. Like, I've still got the photo somewhere of that, of me on the sidelines, and you could see how just giddy I was to be a part of it and be wearing SDSU gear for the day. And that was kind of my crash course in it. And Tyler was an amazing mentor to me. He taught me not only how to be a better broadcaster, but how to grow up and be a better man and be a better person. There were things that I needed to grow up a lot on when I was at that stage in my life.
You were like 22.
Right. I mean, some of the kids that were playing for both the men's and women's basketball team at the time were kids that I had graduated with or my sister had played in traveling basketball teams with. Ashley Heidi, my dad coached her traveling basketball team back in the day. So it was a very eye-opening experience. I had a lot of maturing to do, but to cut my teeth there at SDSU and work with Tyler Merriam and get a chance to watch a true professional go about his craft every day and do it with professionalism, there's nobody better to learn from.
Not a surprise. He sounds like a pro on the air, that's for sure. Rattle off some of you mentioned Ashley Heidi already, some of the other greats that you got to call their games.
Jill Young, one of the all-time scorers in girls basketball in South Dakota. She went to SDSU. She was a terrific guard. She ended up actually broadcasting with me for a year after she got done playing. So that was a good one. Jenny Sonnerborg, she's still playing professional basketball in Australia today. Katie Lingle, she had, after she was done, worked for John Thune's office for a while. I mean, kids that have gone on and done impressive things with their lives. And it was pretty. And Nate Wolters, can't go without talking about him on the boys or men's side. When Tyler was having his first child, I had to go out to New York and call a tournament. Nate Wolters hit a half-court shot. It's still one of the best memories that I can remember. And then to watch him get drafted and go to the NBA and play for the Bucks and all that stuff was pretty cool.
How many of those games did you get to do? Those men's games?
It was a whole weekend, so there was like 3 games there against Hofstra, and there was a couple other teams out there too. So,
where in New York was this?
Staten Island. So it was right in the big city. We got done with one game, and I don't even know if I was supposed to. Scott Nagy had a pretty big clamp on his guys to stay in the hotel, but I had caught wind that Grace Potter was playing at the Beacon Theater that night. So I hop on a train, go into town, go to it, and then I see my favorite guitar player. He comes on stage with Grace Potter, Warren Haynes, and I got to see them play live and snuck back on literally the last train back to the island before the night. I almost got stuck in Brooklyn for a night, but made it back and got to call a game with the SDSU the next day. And just the little things that you get to experience when you're on the road with those teams and get to see different parts of the world that you would never see otherwise. And, it's pretty cool.
I mean, you saw, if you're watching on Sioux Falls Live, you saw JJ's eyes light up. We'll get to more of the music stuff. We get them going on music, and
it's a whole different beast.
Things go to another level.
Yeah.
But most of the time you're dealing with Aaron Johnston, and so you're talking about personalities and kind of legends, really. Steve Shirley is the only manager who ever can call himself a champion with the Sioux Falls Canaries to this point.
Yep.
And then you have Aaron Johnston, who was kind of, still pretty young, but already at that time incredibly well established.
Yep.
So what was he like to work with?
Well, so I've worked with a lot of different coaches over the years. We talked about Steve Shirley. I've worked with Kurtiss Riggs when I was with the Sioux Falls Storm, guys that can be intimidating personalities. Aaron Johnston, for whatever reason, was always the most intimidating to me. Just one of those guys that he had built success. He had a program that was, this is how it's going to be. His players were all kind of cookie cutter cutouts. They all came into the system knowing this is my role. This is how it's going to be. I felt like I was a fish out of water at that point. Like, I'm the outsider coming into this very tight-knit family of people at SDSU. Had to kind of earn my way into the family a little bit. And the interviews with AJ, because he's so hyper-focused on game day, sometimes didn't go the way I wanted them to go. They weren't as back and forth. He just kind of got his stuff done and said, okay, I got to go get ready. I respected that because he's obviously built a huge level of success with all that. But he was definitely one of the more intimidating coaches that I ever had to work with. And it takes a special individual, I think, to be around him when he's in his winning ways. But when he's off the court with his family, he's about as fun-loving, as gentle as they can be. And so I got to learn that side of him, and I wasn't as intimidated as time went on. But it was definitely I do not want to screw up in front of this guy kind of thing.
Definitely. So, again, sharpens your skills a little bit.
Yep.
Do you remember, what's the most memorable game you remember calling for the women? Whether it be an amazing thing that happened at the end, or an incredible atmosphere, or
just getting into the old arena the final time before they moved over to the Denny Sanford Premier Center. That's where they had the old Summit League tournaments, and seeing that rivalry really get renewed between SDSU and USD. When that USD team was kind of coming on, I think Kelly Stewart was on the team at that time, and you had Nicole Werekamp, I think was her name, the kid from Australia. Seacamp. There you go. Thank you. But it was just really cool to see that get renewed and to feel 5,000 people screaming for their school, and that the heat that came inside that arena that day.
2014 semifinals, if you're keeping track.
It was about as good as it got. The WNIT tournament, my last year, when we went down to El Paso, we ended up losing, but it came down to a last-second shot for Steph Pollock. She was from Pierre, South Dakota, had an open look. Had she hit it, we would have gone to the Elite Eight. It rattled in and out. But just being there and just watching the emotion go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, it was kind of a full-on encompassing experience of what it meant to be a sports broadcaster in that moment. But it really felt like the entire state of South Dakota was listening that night. It felt like everybody wanted to see the Jacks do well. So as far as just raw anxiety and excitement going into the game, that one was
because it's kind of a standalone game.
It's about as big as it got for me at the time.
And by the way, I can't let this pass. So you did deal with Scott Nagy for a weekend.
Yes.
So how was that?
He's a good guy. I've got an earring. I've got kind of a different personality to how I do things. And he was very much, I want my guys clean cut, no earrings, none of that stuff. I forgot to take an earring out before I got on the bus one time. And he made sure that one of the assistant coaches reminded me, you're not supposed to do that. So there was a way to do things with Scott.
Wow.
There was a way to do things. And I tried to respect that as much as I could. Genuinely did not want to rub people the wrong way and create problems when I didn't have to, that kind of thing. But there were just times where I was like, okay, I'm dealing with people that are dealing with bigger issues on a daily basis that I probably need to be worrying about. They've got other things going on. He was an intense dude, man. If you're at that level, the pressure of recruiting, dealing with boosters, dealing with whatever's going on, there's a million things that are pulling these guys in different directions, and then their own personal lives on top of that. But there were days where I was like, man, I don't know if any of these coaches like me, that kind of thing, but you get through it.
I'm sure they did in their own way. Did you get to sit courtside to watch Nate Wolters play?
Yeah.
Okay, so just fill in the blank. Sitting courtside to watch Nate Wolters play was blank.
It was different. I had never seen a college player in South Dakota at that time play like that as consistently every single day. I kind of knew who he was as a player with preparation because I would walk into the gym and see him shooting, whether it be we get off the bus with the women's team at midnight and we're getting ready to go home, he was in the gym shooting, or if it was at 8 a.m. when I got to my office in the morning, he was in the gym shooting. He was just one of those guys that I think if they would have given him the choice to put his bunk bed in the gym, he probably would have lived there, that kind of thing. There's just certain dudes that you can tell when they go about their business that they're going to be different. He was as quiet as they come. You could almost never get a word out of him. You could almost never feel him in the room, but when he stepped onto that court, everybody's eyes were on him, and he was just a different beast.
And boy, and he could handle it.
Oh, he could,
because he knew it. We're kind of going in your different stages here, your different teams. You had done Jackrabbits 2011 to 14, Canaries 2014 to 2017, and then you got a chance to take over, as you mentioned a lot earlier in this conversation, for the only Hall of Famer, the only broadcaster in the Indoor Football Hall of Fame. Rich Roste. Just a larger-than-life personality. Still around, still an awesome guy. In fact, I saw him here at Gibbs when there was a roast of who was it? Mick, Gary, Craig Maddock, and Mike Henriksen. Were you there that night? Oh, you would have loved it. Anyway, Rich is still doing well, but he decided to hang it up around 2021. In fact, he did a mid-season, didn't he?
He got inducted into the Hall of Fame and then said, I'm done.
He had his ceremony, and he didn't announce it at the thing. I was there. That was the one season where I was the PA announcer for the Storm, so I watched it, and he was showered with all of the love from the Storm fans, waved to the crowd, and that was kind of like literally his walk-off into the sunset. And so, first of all, when did you find out that Rich Roste's retired and we want you to call the games?
Well, that's a whole other story in it by itself. I don't know if you know who Tyler Peterson was. He was a guy who was a clubhouse manager for the Storm for a long time, then ended up working his way into the front office doing sales.
I think I met him
really
time or
well
two.
For himself. He was kind of Kurtiss Riggs' right-hand man in the office on a daily basis.
And by the way, 2021, at this point, I think the Storm had won all 11 of the indoor league. Again, for those of you who are new here, the Sioux Falls Storm ruled their league for about 15 years.
Well, and the crazy part is this new ownership group came in 2019. They're gearing up for the 2020 season, investing all of their money into it, and then boom, COVID hits. They lost just so much momentum at that point with all of that. And I think having to sit around for a year probably put a bug in some other people's minds that, okay, what are we looking at for future with media, things like that. And there was a little bit of butting of heads, I think, at one point where Rich was saying, I want to go this way. Ownership was saying, we want to go this way. And I think Rich said, all right, this might be the time for me to step down.
You're talking about like radio, like whether to stay on the radio or not.
Streaming, that kind of thing, how they wanted to utilize those things.
Because the Canaries, by the way, Canaries, Storm, and Skyforce have all gone away from the radio. None of them are on the radio. I mean, that used to be unthinkable, but that's what the streaming age has done for us, and budgets are tight. And if you can see it, then that's the only one that still does it is the Sioux Falls Stampede, and good on the Stampede for keeping Jimmy O's voice on the radio.
Just got named Broadcaster of the Year, which is pretty cool. So that's awesome.
But okay, so they're transitioning. Rich doesn't want to call streaming only anymore. He's a radio guy, and so he wanted to stick around for his thing, and then which is probably a good thing to do. So now you're taking over mid-season,
and so they've got a week essentially to figure out who's going to take over, or if they're just not going to have a broadcast for that week, whatever they were going to do. They reached out, I think, to Jay Elson and said, hey, do you know anybody? And Jay said, well, JJ does minor league sports. He's free right now. Give him a call. So I was like, all right, get a phone call. I think it's a Tuesday morning. I'm with my girlfriend at the time. We're sitting in a hot tub, just kind of having our morning coffee. My phone rings, again, a number I don't know. And I pick it up and I said, hello. And he said, hey, this is Tyler Peterson. I'm in Nashville right now. I don't have a whole lot of time. I'm on vacation with my wife, but I wanted to talk to you about something. I said, okay, this is a weird way to get the conversation going. But then he explains to me, Rich is going to be done. And my first thought was, I hope he's okay. I hope there's no health issues, anything like that. So no, it's nothing like that. He's just going to retire. We need somebody to take on the last 4 games of the season. I said, okay, I'd be happy to come in. I'm not doing anything this summer. Let's go for it. And things snowballed quickly. They realized that I was going to be excited about it. They knew that I knew some history of the team and all that, and so brought me back for the next year just as a broadcaster. The year after that, I got salaried and actually came in on as a full-time basis. But yeah, that was a really good relationship. It was fun to get to do indoor football and experience the circus that goes with all that stuff.
Yeah.
But to add something else to the resume and say I tried that, I did that, it was pretty cool. Again, it's not fun stepping into a Giants' shoes in that situation, but to get to have that opportunity, go to one championship even in a loss with the Storm was pretty cool, and to be there for Kurtiss's final year, that's one that I'll never forget.
Hey, you just mentioned Kurtiss. I mean, again, we've established you've worked with some legends here. Aaron Johnston, Steve Shirley, for a weekend, Nate Wolters and Scott Nagy. Now it's Jeff Filling, which we've already gone through. But man, Kurtiss Riggs, describe the Kurtiss Riggs experience from inside the football walls.
I would say if you get a chance to talk to Kurtiss one-on-one, again, one of the funniest people you'll ever meet.
You ain't kidding.
Stories to tell you for days.
Yes.
I mean, if you ever get a chance to ask him about Friday Night Lights, he'll tell you about all the crazy things that happened on set of that movie and everything.
Right.
He was, for those who don't know, Kurtiss, right after college, was a left-handed quarterback who had gone over to Europe to try to play in the European NFL League for a little bit. Wasn't a whole lot of excitement over there, so he came back, and his agent, I believe, got him in touch with somebody at the movie studio saying, hey, we need a left-handed quarterback who'd want to come in and try out for this movie we're making. Dennis Quaid, Jamie Foxx, all this stuff. And so he went and ended up being Dennis Quaid's body double for the old lumbering quarterback guy that's kind of at the end of his career. And the way he explained it, they would just take hits all day. Just get beat up, get sacked, get blown up, that kind of thing. But got to be on a movie set, got to be a part of it. And I don't know if any of his takes actually made the movie, but it's pretty cool that he got to be able to do that. So, I mean, stories for days.
Have we talked about that with Kurtiss on the show yet, Cordell? Okay, we haven't. Yeah. Well, good.
Ask him about it.
We will.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I've heard him tell the story, but apparently it wasn't. My mind's a blur, so it was that was off the air. But in person as a coach, was he same thing as Johnston and Shirley in the sense of, hey, they have their good days, they have their bad days, they've got bigger fish to fry, you can't be personally. I'm just guessing. I'll let you say it in your own words.
Oh, I mean, he was as intense when it came to coaching as it could possibly get. He built an army there. I mean, all of his assistants were guys that played for him, Hall of Famers. They knew the system in and out. And so by the end, practices were kind of ran by the assistants, but Kurtiss still had that whistle, and he would get in people's faces if he needed to. Having Lorenzo Brown as your quarterback makes the job easy because he knows the offense inside and out. He's basically an offensive coordinator to begin with.
Right.
And then he got to bring in his son, Peyton, to be a coordinator at the end, too. So you got to see that father dynamic that went with it, too. And I think it softened him a little bit. Not making him a soft coach, but I think it just made him not have to be so hard all the time. He was able to kind of be the dad and be a coach at the same time, and so there's just a different dynamic.
Interesting.
there.
I thought he would just be purely coach with Peyton.
And for the most part, I would say that that's true, but there were moments that you could tell that he was like, I get to coach next to my son, and you could feel that softness. Like,
that's great.
This is one thing I want to do before I'm done with
and
the
Peyton's
Storm.
a chip off the old block.
Peyton is exactly like his dad. I mean,
he is.
I would be surprised if he's not in coaching 20 years from now. So, I mean, and he's done great with the Arizona Rattlers.
He has.
Will continue to have success down there, and hopefully we'll see him here in Sioux Falls before too long.
I meant personality as much as
absolutely.
as much as
maybe he doesn't have the stories
acumen.
to tell quite yet.
No, not quite. And then we can circle it back to Augustana. Because the Storm they're done for now, or if not ever. And you're kind of near the end of that, and we don't have to really do a post-mortem or a play-by-play of that, but that's it's
tough,
it's a bummer for the city. It's been weird the last couple summers to not have the Sioux Falls Storm around.
I feel bad for the fans that were diehards that went to every game, went to every road trip, all the viewing watch parties that don't get to be a part of that scene anymore. To a degree, I feel bad for Todd Tryon. He became the commissioner of that league, brought the league office to Sioux Falls, and the identity of that league was kind of centered around their best team being in the same city that the commissioner's role was in, and that kind of all got blown up. And so I hope someday cooler heads prevail. I hope someday they're able to come back to the table and figure things out, whether that means new owners for the Storm, new leadership in the Denny Sanford Premier Center.
I
don't know.
Place to play is going to be a big issue.
They got really close to playing at Augie in
I remember
the
that
Midco hockey facility, but there was some insurance issues,
Yes.
the way that it was all going to work out, that it fell apart at the last moment. The ownership group did just about everything they could to try to find a way. It just unfortunately didn't work out. So, and for me, the hardest part was I had to write the press release that said, hey, we're shutting down operations. And being a part of that front office every day, putting your heart and soul into it, there's almost that feeling like, man, I'm the one who's going to have to let everybody down now. And so there's a little bit of, heavy days after that where you're just like, what are we going to do now? That kind of thing. A lot of anger. I mean, there were people that were really upset about it, and I felt bad for the fans. At the end of the day, though, if the fans would have shown up in big numbers and continued to support, and the numbers hadn't deteriorated on a game-by-game basis, we may not be talking about this situation.
Well, I mean,
right
I think
now.
you could speak to this because, you've been with two of the four the Stampede aren't professional, but they feel like it. Teams in this town through different waves, and just I'm still living it as part of the Canaries staff right now. It's just people in this town the attendance is down with every team, even the Stampede a little bit. When it's not Wiener Dog night, they still have the best attendance in the league. They might be the exception, but in general, it's just harder now.
It is.
With people's attention, and you not only have been living on this earth, but and seeing the way society has evolved into what people do with their time and money, their free time and their time and technology. But you've been in this town the whole time where people's, there's more things to do. Music is a part of it.
Yes.
The Levitt.
Oh.
I mean, when people ask me about the Canaries, I'm like, hey, we're doing all right, man. But we've got great owners, and it's not like it's dead out there. But, it's not the 90s because we're not the only game in town.
No.
We're competing with a free music show over there. And my owners are probably mad that I'm mentioning it. But, by the way, the Canaries are bringing music over there with tacos and tequila. And they're going to bring the Lolly Cooler. Lolly Cooler. I'm thinking of my boss, Patrick Lally. Anyway, I'm babbling. But, the Sioux Falls has changed, and it's just been harder for everybody in sports, the high schools as well.
Absolutely. I mean, when my grandpa moved here to be a
you're
radio...
there. You see it at Augie, too.
When my grandpa moved here to be a radio DJ, there were 75,000 people in Sioux Falls. We're like, 270,000 or something like that now? I mean, it's grown exponentially, and it continues to grow. And with that, you're going to have people getting pulled in 100 different directions. Youth sports, going to watch T-ball, instead of going and sitting at a ballpark. You also have...
There's just more of them, right?
Right.
I'm okay.
I think I'm good right now. Thank you, though. Appreciate that. It's just one of those deals that you have to understand that the times have changed. I think COVID changed things. I think the evolution of social media. Back in the 90s, you didn't have a cell phone in your hand to go and get a score update, right? You had to go to the game to witness it, or maybe catch highlights on the news at the end of the night if you get lucky. But generally, you didn't get that instant gratification. Now, there's a game day box score that you can pull up instantly and check the scores. You can watch the live stream. Makes it easier for fans to gain access to your team, but it also means that they're maybe not as excited about coming out to the ballpark. And so it's a real catch-22. Like, what do? Do you stay in the past with your media and not give fans that full experience so that you can get people into the ballpark? Or do you move with the times and risk having to kind of reinvent the way you invite people out?
Well, I've got a point about that with Augie in a second, but at least we got guys like Cordell there, the guy in his late 20s. He's going out, he's enjoying it. You can't beat a real live experience with professional sports and professional baseball, and hopefully the team provides good enough food and music and entertainment to keep the evening bouncing for you. You want to bring your friends to it, all that stuff. It's incumbent upon the franchises to do the best they can to make the experience the best it possibly can be. It's got to be interesting for you at Augie calling games on stream when there could be a feeling of are we taking people away from the game because now they can see every game? But everybody streams now, so it's just like either do it or not. The Canaries are streamed. I mean, it's just that's the age we live in. That's a source of revenue, and it just kind of feels like that's like when everybody used to have you had to be on the radio, right? If you're a team in town, now you got to be streaming.
Yeah, it's a little bit different these days. I mean, radio,
and it gives broadcasters like you an opportunity. That's how you got in with Augie.
I think as long as sports is around on campuses, there will be some sort of broadcast that happens. It may not be radio, it may not be TV, might be a live stream. Who knows what they'll have in the future? Holograms or something. Who knows? But
hopefully not AI.
Right? Yeah, we don't need that. I think honestly, though, sports is one of those places that would be very hard to bring AI into the picture, especially in the broadcasting sense, because you can't have a robot generate thoughts and feelings in a second and tell you exactly what's going on with 100% accuracy.
I'd like to think so.
Broadcasters probably can't do that either, but they can get close. And hearing a voice that is the same, hearing a voice that's a part of the identity of those schools, it's important. I mean, when you grow up listening to the Twins, you remember Herb Carneal, you remember John Gordon, you remember Corey Provis now as the TV guy. There's guys that are going to be around that become part of the identity of sports, and hopefully as long as humans still want to watch and be a part of that sports world, we will have a job as broadcasters too.
When did you get roped into Augie?
2014, the
it's been
tape
that
delayed
long.
games is when I started doing it. Joe Beltram, who was a director at Midco Sports at the time, had this Augie cart that they would do where they would make live streams, or not live streams, but tape delayed games. So I would go out and start doing those. They would do high school games as well, and that's kind of how I got involved with Midco as well.
So we'll start with Augie. We'll land the plane with Augie. We started with Augie. We'll land the plane with Augie. You got to be a part of so you get to call plenty of games for a 2016 national title team.
Yep.
And speaking of legends, Tom Billiter. So let's just go straight into him and what he was like to deal with.
He was an awesome coach. I mean, he was one of those guys that I think was always worried that things were going to blow up and just get destroyed in a moment. He was trying to find a way to win a game no matter what.
Frantic.
Yes.
I would call Tom a very
way.
frantic coach.
There was one game I was sitting on the sidelines, and I was in a commercial break because we were in a video replay review. They were just watching a flagrant foul, I think, that had happened or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But anyways, Tom comes up to the official scorer and the scoreboard keeper and just starts going, "You guys got to help me out here. I'm fighting for my job. I don't know if we're going to make it through the night," that kind of thing. Like trying to find any way to get an edge on Northern State or whoever they were playing and get a win. But his competitive nature always came out. And he did it, I'm sure, kind of tongue-in-cheek too, being funny because he is a funny guy. But there were definitely some lighthearted moments, but there was always that, man, he's really gung-ho about figuring out how to get this going. And he had such a good program in 2016. I mean, that basketball team was stacked.
Well, you got to watch some Dan Jansen courtside.
Dan Jansen was incredible. I mean, that game that they had against, I think it was Iowa, where they went in and they had no business beating them. And
They
he
beat
hits that
Iowa.
last-second shot to beat Iowa. That's about as cool as it gets. I got to call C.J. Ham games when he was at Augustana in his junior and senior seasons. So, yeah, that was, I think, my first game was one of C.J.'s best games at Augustana. Ran up and down the field. And at the time, I'm like, this guy's a really good running back. There's no way they're going to take a bowling ball in the NFL, right? Yeah. And he goes and paves his own way, gets
willing to play fullback,
practice squads, fullback, whatever it takes. He reinvented himself to get to the NFL, and that may be one of the things that I kind of hang on my hat the most, is just being able to say I called games for arguably one of the best South Dakota college football players ever to make it to the NFL.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's hard to argue with. Yeah. Did you ever get a chance to meet him in person much, or was that kind of the deal where you're
not
just
until he got to the pro level?
Okay.
When he came back and started doing some of the youth camps at Augustana, things like that, start to just introduce myself and say hi or whatever. But no, I never really, I didn't interact with the players a whole lot back then. I've tried to get more involved and meet them and kind of learn who these guys are as I've gotten older. It just helps, I think, them get more relaxed when we're doing interviews and stuff like that, for them to know who they're talking to instead of just some strange guy that comes up. But so I didn't really get a chance to meet him all that much, but that was pretty cool.
And then OJ. I mean, he was CJ's coach then, still is the Augustana coach now. Yep. And so you've dealt a lot with that guy. And I mean, again, we just go down to, I'll put OJ in a legends category. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's now the winningest coach in Augie history. Yep. Nobody's won the volume of championships or winning percentages as he has. And I mean, but a remarkable human.
He's an incredible human being. He's as nice as they come. He runs about as tight of a ship as they come. Okay. That is militaristic when they go over there. I mean, they know exactly where they're going to be, when they're going to be there. The players line up, and they buy into that system 100%. I mean, he's had some coaches that have come and gone the last couple of years, but that system keeps rolling. They've got depth top to bottom at every position. I don't know that, at least right now, that there's a coach that I respect more than Coach OJ. He is as nice of a guy. He's treated me better than any coach has as far as broadcasters are concerned. But to be able to be around him and watch him continue to build that success at Augustana is impressive.
Okay, we can leave on a move it forward type of thing. Yeah. They had a great team last year, started 9-0.
Yep.
Then they lost 2 games, and what a cruel, cutthroat system the Division II playoffs are.
Yeah.
And they were a top 5 ranked team in the country, and they got shut out of the playoffs. Yep. But What about 2026?
I think they've got a lot of potential to be great. They've lost some players the last 2 years that were real centerpieces on defense specifically that they're going to have to fix. It'll be interesting to see how that all goes, but they've got a quarterback now who's a year older that's been developing well in that system. They've got a ton of wide receivers that are just as athletic as it gets at the Division II level. Their schedule's not easy, though, this year. They're going to play Central Missouri Week 1 on a Thursday night in Missouri, so they're going to have to travel for that. They've got to travel to Duluth this year. There's a couple other places that they got to play that won't be easy. They're used to playing 1 o'clock kickoff games at Kirkby Over Stadium, so night games is not something that they're terribly used to. And from what I understood, I thought the NSIC was getting rid of, or at least trying to distance themselves from night games.
Okay.
So to have that back on the fold this year and having a few more was a little bit of a surprise, but I'm excited. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun, and I'm eager to see what this version of Augustana football looks like this year.
And you'll be back on the radio doing it this time.
I don't know what format it'll be. I know I will be broadcasting with them.
Okay.
And there will be, I think, some information coming out from the Augustana media department sooner than later about all that. But they're still working out some details on how that will all shape up.
By the way, radio versus TV, how would you characterize calling just from calling the games?
Yeah. Radio is very different, I would say, from calling TV, although you can do it in a similar way. Radio is every detail, talking about the color of the jerseys, the piping on their uniforms to make sure the person at home has a visual picture in their head. You can let the TV tell a little bit more of the story when you're doing a TV broadcast. The hard part is when you're live streaming, like with Augie, we have different formats: radio, TV, live stream, all at once. And so you kind of have to do it just one way to make it work for all three. And so it gets to be a little complicated, and sometimes the radio side loses a little bit on that because you have to make a good product for TV that's not overwhelming. You don't want the fans to be like, this guy just won't shut up, that kind of thing.
Yes,
so,
I do know how that goes. I do.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's a delicate kind of balance, trying to find a good rhythm on TV when you're doing all three at once.
Well, fortunately, you're well versed in all of it. We never even got to the fact that you've just been doing games on Pentagon streaming for years, and even you work in plenty of sports that you don't call. Sometimes you're just out at the Pentagon or Augie. Just if it's a game in Sioux Falls, JJ might be there courtside with a headset.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the beauties of living in Sioux Falls, and I've always said the sports bubble's gonna burst someday in Sioux Falls, but I'm gonna ride this wave as long as I possibly can. We get TV networks that are huge. Peacock, the big four-letter word network, every once in a while shows up to do games. You get CBS Sports doing the Summit League tournament.
And you find your way to work for them.
Yeah, I mean, and once you get in once, as long as you don't screw things up monumentally, they're going to call you back the next year and be part of the crew. So they get local camera guys to run those events. They get local guys to do stats. Brad Newitt, his son Sam, who's just an incredible human being, so smart. He does a lot of their stats for those TV broadcasts as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool that we get these friends and people that we've worked with around the community that get chances to be part of a bigger broadcast, see how they work with 2 trucks rolling in instead of a little van production, that kind of thing. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, I think we got to end this somewhere.
Sure.
You and your dad are two of my favorite people in this city, not just in the sports in this city. Pat, his father is at almost every Canaries game. Been a scorekeeper for how long out there?
I got him started doing scorekeeping my second year with the Canaries, so 2015, and he's been there pretty much every.
He took you to games, and now he gets to kind of be there for all of them. And I mean, it seems to me like one of your favorite things to do is to go to live music shows, not just here, but it seems like it's New Orleans a lot, and wherever there's somewhere somebody you like. That's like your jam.
Yeah, I mean, and thank you for bringing that up. It's pretty cool that I get to share these moments with my dad, and not everybody gets that chance.
Yeah, not everybody's best friends with their dad.
And I mean, let's be honest, he and I butt heads. We're not always best friends, but I would say more often than not, we are doing stuff together. We're laughing with each other. Grew up going to baseball games, listening to the Allman Brothers on van rides up to the Twins game at the Metrodome or whatever. So I was indoctrinated at a very early age on what good music sounded like. Took me to shows, snuck me into where Dada Gastropub is now. It used to be the Sioux Falls Brew Pub years ago. And I was 10 maybe, he would sneak me in. He knew the bouncer at the bar, and he'd be like, he's coming in to watch the band. He's not going to drink. He's not going to do any of that stuff. And bouncers would just say, okay, yeah, you're Pat's kid. Go on in. And so like it got to a point where they all knew that he had the best intentions for me to be around good music, be around sports as much as I could. And it really pushed me to the direction that I wanted to be a good human being too. I mean, when he stopped working in insurance after 25 years or whatever, went to go work at a daycare just because he loved kids. He was a youth coach for years, coaching traveling basketball teams, baseball, all that stuff. So just a genuinely good human being. And I mean, going to concerts has given us a chance to really hone in on what our relationship looks like as adults now. When you're a kid with your dad, there's that larger than life figure who's telling you to brush your teeth and get to bed and get good grades, all that stuff. But at some point, you know, when you turn 21, 22, that kind of, at least for me, shifted a little bit. And it started being, hey, do you want to go to a concert with me? I can't find anybody to go with. Your mom doesn't want to go. It's just down in Omaha. And it got to be, we would drive Kansas City. We would drive to, Chicago. We'd drive to Minneapolis, wherever we could find a show for a night and just hang out. And Mom would worry about us sometimes because we'd drive back afterwards and it'd be getting into Sioux Falls at 4 a.m, getting to school the next day and finding a way to make that work. But I mean, it's shaped who I am to this day. I still go to concerts. He and I are going to go to Red Rocks at the end of July, see the Tedeschi Trucks Band. Derek Trucks, who was the longtime guitar player for the Allman Brothers, might be the best guitar player on the planet right now, honestly. But we're going to go see them for 2 nights, take a drive out to Colorado, see some friends. And
Red Rocks? Did you say Red Rocks?
Red Rocks.
Oh, baby. Wow. I still haven't done that.
Music mecca. If you ever get a chance to go to Red Rocks, even just to go walk around there, not even for a concert, you're going to be glad you did.
I've done the walk around thing, but you got to see a show there. That's still on my bucket list.
I'll tell anybody who goes, make sure that you bring your walking shoes with you because there's a parking lot down at the bottom of Red Rocks.
That's right.
And you have to earn your seat to get there. You have to walk and hike up a hill, and if you're not used to the elevation, it will kick your butt. But it is the best venue you can possibly see music in. Seeing the Denver skyline out in the distance, these beautiful rock structures all around you, and 5,000 fans screaming and loving every minute of it. Like you feel an energy that's there that's different. You get to be a part of a place where the Beatles have played, legends of music have walked, and you can just feel that it's one of those places that if you're a music fan, you've got to go to because it speaks to the heart and soul of what music really is.
Yeah. Just follow the man on social media, JJ Hartigan, because he's going to be on the road here and there going to some shows, and that's a guide for you. And you like, you like bands a lot of people haven't heard of, but to you are just like, wow, this is good on the ears.
Oh, absolutely.
And your mom's a pretty cool lady as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Thank you for saying that. She worked in state government, federal government. She was an Army reservist. She was a 1994 South Dakota Army Reservist of the Year. Retired from federal government employment a few years back. She joined Homeland Security back in 1999, something like that. So right before 9/11 happened, and that whole job changed after all that stuff. It got harder. It got stressful. It changed everything about the way people deal with stuff in the United States, and a lot of people would have been hardened by that. She found it as a way to motivate her, found a way to make herself a better person. She really honed in on the naturalization part of it. Homeland Security was immigration and naturalization services. She wanted to find ways to get people to move to the United States, to feel like a citizen, be a citizen, and to do it the right way. And so she dedicated her life to that stuff and still does to this day. I mean, she goes out and she's an activist. She tries to teach kids what it means to be a good voter, a good citizen. Back when we were kids, there was an initiative called Kids Vote, where adults would volunteer their time and go into the school systems and teach people what the executive branch did, what the judicial branch did, all of this stuff. And she really had a lot of passion with that. So to see her succeed with those things, to have her kind of teach me what it meant to be a good human, a good steward in my community, I think that goes a long way to speaking of the person she is. I mean, she was the president of our church. She's done just about anything you could to prove that she's a good human being. And I'm getting a little emotional, but she raised us right.
She sure did. I see her and Pat at your sister's softball games. I'm in your sister's softball league, and you're in the. I'm sure they're fixtures at your Sioux Falls City beer league softball
they bring their
games.
vuvuzelas out and honk their horns, and
it's hard. So it's hard not to find the Hartigans out and about in the city of Sioux Falls, as it has been the case your whole life. Well, everybody around who's met you knows you're a good guy, and now people have a better idea of how that came to be.
Thank you.
I'm certainly glad to have met you and been a part of the journey, and thanks for talking about it today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people are going to realize after hearing this that I really take heart in the people that have helped me along the way. I really respect the people who have brought me here. You're another one of those people who have always had a kind word to say, an arm around my shoulder, just words of encouragement as these things go on. So I really appreciate your friendship and the ability to do these things on a daily basis.
My pleasure. I remember meeting you, and you just went to Shadow Craig and I back at KWSN for a time or two. You've done well.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Appreciate it, man.
For J.J. Hartigan, voice of the Augustana Vikings, and video producer Cordell Wright, a big thanks to the folks here at Gibbs Sports Bar on the east side of Sioux Falls. Happy hour, and cheers.
You need anything else, John?
No, I think I'm good, Greg. I think I'm going to tap out.
All right. Have a good night.